Namaste, and welcome to our continuing series, Sri Aurobindo Ashram, The Early Years. Today, we are honored once again to have Sunanda with us. Namaste, Sunanda. We were talking just before Alina came in of Mother's departure, and my experience was very much the same as yours.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about what you felt?
I was completely devastated. I had expected her to be there till she finished her work. And I was one of those lucky people who were able to go to her once a week till almost March 15th of 1973. So every week on Sunday for Shabda's work we were allowed to see the mother. And through her talks in bulletin, I knew the work she was doing with her body, and because I was seeing her, I would watch her. I would watch her movements, I would watch her eyes, I would, try to watch mother physically.
And you would look at her body.
And later on when I read in the bulletin about her work on the cells of the body, then I started watching the change. I was not sure whether I will be lucky enough to, or I'm able to, or whatever drawbacks I have. But I just did it because I was physically there and she was in front of me, so I would. And lately I had seen in her two arms, from her elbow to her fingertips, because those were the exposed parts of her body, and I was sitting in front of her at her feet every Sunday. And I had perceived, without exaggeration, some changes. And that gave me...
How would you describe those changes?
See, one day I saw her left arm little more pinkish than the other one. And I was almost forced to look closely. And then I compared the two hands. And I just kept quiet even within myself because I didn't want to disturb it. So every time then onwards when I went on Sunday, I would try to watch her exposed part, and I definitely can say very truthfully from my heart that I did perceive some changes. The way in which she used to grip our hands, for example, and the way in which she looked into you. That wasn't very clear to me because I was never one of those people who looked in her eyes as some other old sadhaks have described. I didn't look into her eyes. I just opened my eyes and I allowed the mother to look into myself. There was something which I felt she was giving through her eyes to me, and I wanted to imbibe it into me. So when she left her body, I was not prepared at all, because I thought she was doing this work of changing the cells of her body, and gradually she will transform herself into the supramental being or into another being which is without physical problems, without nature disturbing the body. And also because we have seen Sri Aurobindo writing about the supramental body, so there was always a sort of a hope in all ashrams that mother will be able to transform her body
And she needed only 5 more years, she said, at 100.
I don't remember about the time factor, but I do remember another one thing. Once I had mentioned to her a being I had seen, and she confirmed that it is the being of the supramental world. So for me, it was simultaneously two things happening to mother. One, her changing physically every moment of her awakened life to change the cells of her body and transform this physical old body into a newer body gradually by becoming better than what it was and all that. And one fine day we would see her absolutely healthy. That was my first test. Secondly, I was feeling that that being which I'd seen, whom she said it's a supramental being, there might be beings like that which mother will make her body into that being, so that only those who believe in her transformation or who truly believe in the new species of human beings would be able to see. So I thought mother was doing these two work, and out of these two, one will definitely succeed. So when she left her body, I was with a question, what next? How is it going to progress? How is it going to happen?
Yeah.
It wasn't a sort of loss to the ashram that I felt. Many people felt ashram will break into pieces because of mother not being there. I never felt that. My whole concern was, what about her own work? What about the work Sri Aurobindo had entrusted to her in 1950? So when people made statements about why mother left her body, that it was an old body, and somebody said that she will be very much with us subtly and all that, it didn't make any comfort for me. I was still absolutely torn into pieces. And I sat in front of my photos in my room. Twice or thrice I went to the ashram to look at her lying in state, but I couldn't go to that room where her body was kept because I wasn't able to look at her in that condition. And once, when I was standing there, Mona Pinto happened to be there, and she knew me because when earlier I had come to live in the ashram, mother had given me a room in Golconda, and I was one of the youngest persons, so Mona was looking after me like a child. So she put her arm around my shoulder in this meditation hall where I was standing and feeling absolutely broken. And she said, Sunanda, this is not mother. This is only a shell. Don't look at this body and feel this is the mother. I don't know how much it comforted me, but when she said she has left the body, this is only a shell, then that she, which had left her body, was something for me to grip with, to come to grip with, that this is it, perhaps. I didn't understand it at that moment because I was still very sad. But later on, when I started thinking that so many people are saying mother is here, so many people are saying that they received mother's help near Samadhi, so many people are feeling her presence here. Why am I not feeling it? Am I not a believer? This is how I started questioning myself. And it was at this time that something came in front of me. Something which had left her body, physical body, came in front of me. And that allowed me to settle a little. Because that was something concrete.
Was it something like the body you had seen?
Not exactly, because it was definitely when I tried to look into, I closed my eyes and I looked within my heart to see that something. I always mixed it up with the golden body that Sri Aurobindo had described, or she herself had said so many things about the new body and the golden body, and in various descents when she talks of the body and all that. So sometimes it would feel like a fairy tale, sometimes it would feel like a literature, sometimes it would, but once again I'll go back within myself to find out. Once again I looked, time and again I went inside to find out. And both the things were happening. I was seeing a body being created separately from her, something which had left her, but a body being created, a tall body, a golden body, thin body, and also this something which was changing. But slowly what happened was that this something which was changing became less and less and less, and it turned into a presence of the mother inside me. So it was no more like something which had left her body, which was outside, traveling all around, helping people and all these things, but it became my personal, I don't know what to call it, my personal inner strength or inner presence, which I felt concretely within myself. And that made me think that, oh, she's here. So I don't have to look outside for help, which fortunately I didn't look outside to in any other human being
for help. That you had never asked
anyone for help, because I felt whenever there was a problem, I could go within, sit with her, and a solution would come. So that was all that was necessary for my life in being in the ashram, because I needed to be in the ashram, but I needed some support, and that support I got from within myself, not from outside. Not, I would say, yes, I would functionally go to samadhi. I would go to mother's room and meditate. I would go to Sri Aurobindo's room and meditate. But they were outward instruments for me. But what happened when I went there was, I went inside me. I didn't feel the samadhi stone. I didn't feel anything in any photo perhaps. But once in a while on a darshan day, Sri Aurobindo's photo in Sri Aurobindo's room becomes quite alive once in a while. But so that was something which has made me feel that when new people or old people feel lost, mother is no more here, you were lucky, you were here when mother was there, so she was directing you every day, so for you it's very easy to follow this life. For us, we have no support. Then I feel that all they have to do is to sit quietly wherever they feel, whether it's near samadhi, near mother's room, inside their own prayer room, or in front of a photo which they have in their hand. Any instrument which makes them feel quiet sitting down, they can go within them and find out whether that presence which is in the samadhi or in a particular photo is inside. Because once their contact is made, it's there, available, 24 hours. Most of my brilliant ideas about the paintings or about some creation I want to do come in the night for me. My nights are like that. And though lately when I'm not physically able to move around and do whatever I wanted to do and all that, lately I had been asking Mother, why wasn't she relieving me of this body? Because I was prepared. I have no threads attached anywhere. I have no desire left of wanting to finish this work or that work. I've finished whatever work was assigned to me, the physical work.
Yes.
I'm happy with the work which is going on in spite of my not physically being there. So I am detached from, I'm not attached to my daughter's well-being because she's stronger than I am. And I know she's at a place where she will be absolutely all right. And she feels it that way. So I have nobody else with whom I'm attached. And so that I asked her, why am I lingering? Why am I not able to go when there is pain here and a problem in my eye and this and that and that? And then she would just smile and she would never answer me. So I would go to sleep with those disturbing ideas. And sometimes when I talk to some friends about this, and say, no, Sunanda, Ben, you should not do like that. You must always call her. She's always, you mustn't think of going. You mustn't dictate that you want to go and things like that, which are all good advices. But I was not able to achieve it in my life. But somehow or the other, what happened was, later on in the night, I semi-woke up. Sometimes in a dream, sometimes fully awake. And it was at that time that I got these brilliant ideas about making a picture or writing something or just feeling the vision that I was seeing and trying to remember it so that in the morning I'm able to relive that vision and I don't lose it and things like that. All this happened in the middle of the night.
And you wouldn't lose it in the morning?
Sometimes I did, but most of the times I remember whatever happened in the night. Most of the time. So my nights have become now quite, I should say, creative. Whether I'm able to do all those paintings or whether, but I get ideas. So what I do when I know I won't be able to do a particular picture, I pass on the idea to my group. And I ask them to execute it. So I feel that she's, for whatever reason, she's keeping me in this body. Though I would very honestly, I would like to leave just now. I'm as prepared as that. But there's something which I'm very honest to tell you. I do not know. I really do not know why am I lingering. So that's it as far as but
you had mentioned to me earlier that there are many people in the ashram who are doing a serious sadhana.
yes, they are. They are very sincere and they are praying very sincerely directly to the mother. They do not want to go to outside help like lawyers or
yes.
policemen or old sadhaks or wise men or any people who makes new statement. If you have this inner contact, whether you call it mother's contact, Shuddha's contact, your guru's contact, whoever, it may be Shiva, it may be Krishna, it may be anybody, with whom you feel comfortable within your heart, then you can live in that. And there are these old sadhaks who go within and ask the mother to look after this ashram till it has function to fulfill. As long as they have both said that when the function of the ashram is over, it may disintegrate. It's a very disturbing thought for new people. But we old people feel that it will not happen till there are sincere people who are in contact with what they have taught about changing of the humanity to the new species. whether it is in the ashram or in the world anywhere. It's happening all over the world. All the new technology has shown her images, shown us the images of what people have seen as new species.
Yes.
It's not only here. Sri Aurobindo's idea, like seeds in the wind from Pondicherry all over the world, I feel it has fallen in many, 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 many lands. And somewhere or the other where there is an aspiration, it works like a manure in the water and something sprouts. And that something which is sprouting is seen by people there. Those who are awakened to the new idea, those who are tired of the world as it is. All over the world, majority of the people, whether they are rich, whether they are poor, whether they are wise, they were foolish, they are unhappy with the things politicians have done of the world. The gundas have done it, the bad people have done it. And they are in every society. They are in every society. There are few somewhere and there are less somewhere, or more somewhere else. But the work is continuing, and I feel very strongly it is because of this core of people in the ashram and in places like ashram all over the world who want to see the next species of the world. There are many people all over the world who are aspiring towards that. They are working towards that through workshops, through meditations, through talks, through whatever, through even sheer reading. And it is because of this that I feel very strongly that the work cannot stop. And the old people very quietly in the ashram continue doing what they are doing with that one hope, that we came here because we saw a dream. We saw a dream and we had a feeling that this dream can be fulfilled here. That is why we stayed with Mother and Sri Aurobindo.
How do you feel about the children, the young people?
I'm not much in contact with the younger children. But when I read about their abilities when they are about to leave the ashram school and what they have achieved in the education here, when I read their histories when they have gone outside and done well, then I feel again hopeful that these are the children who were brought up here. Few may have gone in ordinary life, but many still have the stamp of Mother and Sri Aurobindo's integral teaching. That again is a hope.
Do you have any contact with Aurobidians?
A few. I have very, very few, yes. There is one Tamil boy who knows you also, that Rajan.
Oh.
Actually, he is responsible for me to be again in contact with.
He's told me a lot about you.
He got after
and
me.
how he got
I wanted to shoo him away, and he was one. So I always tell a joke that it is he who has adopted me as his mother, not me adopting him. So, and then Shraddhavan, of course, because of the Savitri. I love Savitri Bhavan, and Shraddhavan has been an old friend of mine because when Mother chose 4 of us to teach in Auroville school, the last school, Shraddhavan was a teacher there, and I was also chosen by the Mother as one of the teachers to go
this
there.
was in the early 70s?
In the early 70s, yes, in early 70s, and Mother chose 4 of us from the ashram school to go and teach twice a week to Auroville school.
Who were the 4?
Anuben Purani,
Yes.
Anuben,
Yes.
Shobha, the singer, Shobha, then myself,
Yes.
and there was this man, I forget his name, it will come back to me a little bit. He was a history teacher. He was the one when the schools, unfortunately, in Auroville closed down and we were asked not to go anymore. Shattadal. That Shattadal was the man who was one of the teachers. He taught them history and other things. So even when the schools were closed, he went sometimes on his cycle, because we were taken in a bus when we were going to teach. But then slowly the bus stopped and it was difficult to go. And Shantiben, one of the teachers there, even sold her gold ring to give us money for the bus to go to the school to teach them. But we three stopped going when they closed the school. But Shatadal continued, and he would sit under a tree and ask the children that those of you who want to come and listen to my stories and learn with me, come. And he went on for a long time. My hats off to him that in spite of all the difficulties, he persisted for a long time. He's a very beautiful personality.
Beautiful Shatadal. I remember him
yes.
very well. Did you ever have any correspondence or meeting with Nishikanto?
No.
I only saw him once.
Yes. I used to see him when he used to go to Mother, because in the 50s everyone went to the Mother and Mother came down and sat there. So we all gathered in the ashram. So I used to see him going to the Mother and all that. But I never had a personal contact with him, because mostly he spoke Bengali and I didn't speak Bengali.
Yes.
So
people come and see you now?
Very few. Very few. Mostly people who want things from Shri Smiti or some center people who would like to know something. But not many. Once in a year, society have children's camp.
Yes.
So they bring those children to listen to my stories once in a year. So they sit here and I tell them fairy tales, I tell them stories from the Mother, incidents which happened with Mother and me, or with Mother and some other children. So that is the contact I have, but not with the new young people. I was very keen to start sort of a group in the dining room, because most of the newcomers who are in their teen age, late teens or early 20s, they join the ashram and they don't know anything. And they are the people who had mentioned to me off and on that we don't know much about the Mother. So I was trying, we did succeed to some extent, but it fizzled out later on, unfortunately.
So how long did this dining room?
It went for some time. Quite a few people used to go, like Shipradi, and but it didn't last very long, because then they started going to the adult classes in the school, which they had in the evening. I don't know what has happened, because I was reading in the Golden Chain yesterday that those evening classes were started because Shobha had a vision. Shobhadi had a vision telling her that we should have evening classes. You read up that story in the Golden Chain, it is there.
Yes.
And she then talked to the ashram school authorities and started these evening classes and all that. But it seems even those classes are now dwindling. There was earlier an attraction that if you become an ashramite, you can go to the playground. Now they don't care, because the playground doesn't hold the same attraction for them as the old students had. So let us see, something new might crop up. A miracle. I'm waiting for a miracle to happen. I'm still a child, and I do really hope that something beautiful, a beautiful creation happens here. And I had a lot of hope that something like this will happen in Oroville.
Yes.
Anyway, I suppose, as in Indian mythology, they said that everything is karmic and everything depends upon the divine Leela. And I feel that we cannot sit back and depend upon our karmic action to take place on its own. We have to act. And we have to act as much as I think the old people are given a disability or an inability like me to work actively, it can become a blessing in disguise if you can get in
Yes.
and look in
Yes.
and see what is number one needed for your own betterment, for your own transformation, or for your own preparation for the next step you're going to take, because you have to prepare for that next step also.
Certainly.
And so it's necessary that more people become aware that this is available, free of charge, free of books, free of gurus.
But
It's there.
work is the key also.
Yes, but you get inside.
Yes,
And
exactly. Exactly.
I would like to say something about my personal this thing. I was one of those people who had some experiences which I couldn't explain, and which I had related to the mother, and mother had given meaning to those experiences. And she had told me at that time that you have a tendency to leave your body, but you should never try to actively do that. And I'm putting a coat around you. You can come out and jump in that coat, up and down, whatever you want, but never try to tear it and go out. And she told me this years and years back in the 50s. And I now understand why, because if I broke that, mother was there to protect me at that time. So that is why this whole thing. So occultism, when people ask me about occultism, I always avoided the question. I always said it's not meant for me. Though I am a Shiva Bhakta, I'm very fond of Shiva. Shiva directs me also very many times in my need, my inner need. But Tantrism was something, or occultism was something which I always kept away from. When I learnt pranic healing, a little bit of that came, along with the teaching of combing the auras of the person whom you are healing. And I did not know at that time that that is also a part of occultism. Shraddhalu told me, but this is occultism. I said, no, it is just cleaning the aura. But when he said, no, it is occultism, that's why I don't do it, and things like that. Then I started asking myself, what is this? What am I doing? And then I realized that I was asking for help from here on my arm, and then I was transferring that help from my hand to the cleaning of the aura. I realized that automatically. So I always say, I invoke the mother, and before doing the aura cleaning and this thing. Even then, there was a suggestion that we make a group and we charge fees and we heal people. We did a lot of healing once upon a time. I said no, because I was the one person who was responsible for breaking the group, because I said, we have learnt it free of charge. We have not paid for our workshops, which people came to give us. They left their jobs and came and did that for us. And they gave us everything. It was upon us. Some of us received a lot more than others, but that was upon us. Yeah. I cannot put a fee to that. Then there was a suggestion of putting an offering box. I said no. I don't like offering boxes. Let the offering go directly where you want to give it. But offering box to your people to put something, because when they see that offering, people who I have not thought of putting anything would in India put a hand in their pocket, and whatever comes out they would like to put there. It's something which you are asking people to do mechanically.
Yes.
It is
mechanical.
It is mechanical, and sometimes it is a bargain. I've lost 100 rupees. I've done it in my childhood. If I've lost something, I'll say, I will give half of it to the divine if I get it back. It's a bargain. But you don't know at that time it is a bargain, and that bargain, something else might come out from there and go somewhere else. Because Mother said that when people materialize things, for example, when Mother was asked about the Sai Baba materializing the rings or ashes and things like that, egg I did not know, but yeah, he used to materialize many things. And Mother was asked about this, and Mother said, from somewhere or the other, perhaps she told this to Vishwanath or Vishwajit or somebody who had talked to her about this. Vishwajit or even Sanyal, Dr. Sanyal. Because Dr. Sanyal had also gone, I think, to this place once for an experience. So Mother said that anybody who materializes these things takes it from some place and brings it. So if your car has broken on the way and if you get a spare part from a workshop in America, it is given to you. It's actually, if you look into it, she said scientifically, you will feel that one part less in that workshop because it has been lifted from somewhere and given to you. So that made a lot of sense to me, this materialization, and of course there are things which materialize without your understanding it, has happened with me. But that is something which is quite different,
I would like to tell you the story of Dr. Sanyal because I met him in New York when he had the operation for Parkinson's, and Mother told him, don't have any operation, and he did it anyway. And then he started going all over India to these gurus, asking them to heal him. He got to Satya Sai Baba. And Sai Baba said, why do you come to a 40-watt bulb when you have the sun?
Yes. Balakrishna was present in the house of Professor Gokak in the earlier stage. There was a books exhibition in Mysore. So Balakrishna had gone with Shabda books there, and he was a guest of Gokak. Satsai Baba happened to come to Gokak's house on that day for evening meal. So Gokak was little bit hesitant about asking Balakrishna to be present for the dinner. But when he mentioned that, Balakrishna said, I have no problem. I will be, as one of the guests, I will be there. And so during that time or one day after that, Satyavan Sai Baba said, I am for the masses who do not intellectually understand the approach to the divine. But Sri Aurobindo is for the elite. You will call it elite, isn't it? Elite. Yes. Sri Aurobindo is for the elite. And we see the difference. You see that the crowds which come for darshan nowadays, there's so much difference between them and us. It's very obvious that they will never be able to understand what Sri Aurobindo has said about integral yoga, changing of the body. But they'll understand Satyabha, Sai Baba materializing things and giving them as prasad. And they will have the miracles. They will be believers. And for them at this life, it is necessary.
It's a progress.
It's a progress and it's necessary rather than leading an absolutely ordinary life. They're better off than the rest. So each one has their own karma to fulfill. Even the sadhus have their own karmas to fulfill. And maybe the higher divine utilizes them. And so yes, I was coming to this, my nights and this thing. So recently, last 6 months, from the time I have given up asking Mother, why am I not leaving the body? I gave up. I said, no, I'm not going to get an answer to that. It's
Okay,
just
so
going to happen.
for the last 6 months you haven't asked.
I haven't asked her, why aren't you taking me? Otherwise, every night I was saying, I'm praying to you because I want to leave. And now I have stopped doing all this. Last 6 months I'm not. What has happened is that the occult part where in me, where I refused to go deep down into the inconscient.
Yes.
I was always heart upward to the golden peaks upward, but I had never wanted to go down because it didn't agree with me, and because Mother had said don't delve into occultism or don't delve into leaving the body. But here was something which happened to me in the nights where I didn't have to leave the body, where I was not conscious of leaving it, but I went deep in the heart to feel the presence and then go to sleep. But it has happened that now I have started going deep down during my meditation or during my sleep into the inconscient and saw a glimpse of the light inside, as described in Savitri, as described in Savitri, Ashwapati goes through all these things, but I never experienced it. It was so much reading that I had done, understanding with the intellect, but never practiced consciously. Even now I don't practice consciously, but it automatically happens. The other day during the meditation here, it happened that I was going deep inside like that. And I almost felt as if the body was no more and I was living it. And I said, when I became conscious of that, I just held the chair because I physically was not levitating. I was just from inside, that feeling of the depth had become so, I don't know how to describe it, but my whole rest of the body was very light. And that little depth with the darkness all around and the light was the most important aspect of my physical. That is why the body felt light. This is how I explain it.
Do you feel Mother gave this to you?
Who else? Because Mother and Shiva are the two people. I don't try to find out. People open the agenda. I used to do it. I used to open the agenda and try to find out what Mother has said about this, which is happening to me.
Yeah.
But now I don't. Now I don't open any book to read anything, because as I said, she does it, Shiva does it, whoever does it, does it.
So what is happening now with this?
I just, I used to read all sorts of books, 2-3 books in my bed always. I had a novel, I had some philosophical book, I had some history book about old histories, Irish history, German history, and even American war histories. And I've read a lot in the last few years of my life. And slowly my eyes are now playing up a little, so now I'm not reading so much. I play little puzzles on my iPad, then see beautiful pictures on the iPad, and then I go through the puzzles, and then I put them together, pink lakes and green forests and things like that. So I play those little games with myself, and first I used to play it in my imagination. Now I play it with an iPad. But most of the time when I'm quiet, I'm talking to you like this after a long time, otherwise I don't talk. And most of the time things are just happening, and I allow them to happen. When people come, I talk to them. When there are days when I'm all alone, and I have told these people, I don't want to listen to any stories. So if there are news in the ashram, I don't want to listen.
Good.
I'm just not prepared to listen, because I don't want this something which is happening. Yeah, if somebody talks, I listen, and I just, pray inside, keep it out. So I don't dwell upon it when they have gone.
Is it continuing, this descend into
Yes.
the unconscious?
Yeah.
Can you talk?
Not continuously, but once in a while when I'm very much deep in meditation, then this experience comes. Before that, the experience was in the heart region, where I used to see beautiful lakes and gardens, and I used to take a walk there. I even took when I did some healing with some people whom I could relate about going within, and I used to talk little, means audibly, to tell, let's enter from between our eyes and go within, take 12 steps, then there is the staircase, then there take 12 steps, go down. Now we are at a place where there is a beautiful garden, so let's take a walk inside, and all this happens inside you. And so then there is a rock, you can sit there if you want, and then there is on the left hand side a door, an old gold door, and you push it and it will open, and you enter another chamber, and there is light at the rear of the chamber. Then just look at that light, and a coach appears, and there is somebody on the coach. Just be in the presence of this.
And you could bring people there.
Some people have gone with me in there, and they have said, "Oh, you have made me have the darshan of the mother in her room." When I used to go to mother and bow down to mother, then this is the experience I relived. But it was in her, which I was very happy with. Even if she's not able to go there, she'll be able to go there, here.
Yes.
So formally, this was my play. All these years, which was last few years, it was always in the heart region, the psychic, because once mother had told me your psychic is in the front. And that meant a lot to me to work on. And that is why I think mother gave me that gift. It's purely, I'm grateful to her for giving me the gift of going within and being in these beautiful places where she has conducted me. Lately, as I say, I go down. But there is, formally it was a no, because perhaps a part of me unconsciously was afraid of going there. There was a fear syndrome.
I see.
And I didn't want to enter into it. But now it has automatically happened.
Was it a fear of darkness or?
Darkness or going there and not being able to come up.
Okay.
That once I go there and if I'm not able to come up into my beautiful land, then what?
Yes.
Because that rainbow land matters a lot to me still. So I think that has automatically disappeared without my trying. So now I have this experience, but there is no fear, there is no aversion. Absolutely no aversion. So I let it happen. I don't consciously go down at all. I don't consciously in my heart, yes I do. When I need to calm myself down. If I have heard something sad or if I have heard something bad, then I go within to clear it up. But that is in the heart region. This has automatically happened. So whatever the mother is working, I don't try to understand mentally. Maybe sometimes I may be able to understand, maybe it will just be alive with me.
Do you ever see her or Sri Aurobindo in that region?
I have not seen Sri Aurobindo in that region, but I have felt mother in the background in that region, standing there. I have seen her standing there. Maybe that's an assurance for me to not be afraid. So, if we know how to approach them, I'm sure that's the only answer. And Sri Aurobindo is very active, I feel, in a political way in the world.
I feel that also.
So, this Auroville thing, I keep in contact with. I subscribe for the Auroville Today also, so that I keep in contact with them. I like to know what progress they are making. And I still feel between the ashram and Auroville there is hope, definitely a hope. And we have to imbibe the old discipline of the ashram and the new creativity of
Excellently said.
Auroville.
Yes.
Without talking about the philosophy, I'm talking it in a simple word, that the ashram had the discipline. And whether you like it or not, we had a lot of freedom. But Mother and Sri Aurobindo, if you read their correspondence, they disciplined us. And that discipline speaks for when people came and saw that an ashram like this, where people go in shorts and in white clothes most of the time, don't look up and all that. As my mother used to say, these are gods walking on earth. My mother came in 20s. She used to say, they were like gods, Sunanda, they were like gods walking. They wouldn't even look up going in the ashram and coming out of the ashram. So that was the quality and the discipline that they were not allowed to talk with each other like this, like I'm doing all this, Bhavadi. And Auroville has a lot of new creativity, lot of new ideas which they are allowed to come in. So I think Mother's vision will not go waste. And should not go waste. It's taking too long for some people. See, for example, when Champaklal went to Auroville, such wonderful visions he had.
Yes. I took him to Machmadya chamber for the first time.
And what a beautiful way of Champaklal leaving his body. He didn't want to go where there will be lot of noise made by people making pranam to him and wanting to keep his body or wanting to put him in a grave and make a samadhi out of it and all that. So he just, whisked himself out into a small village in Gujarat. Not even in Baroda, because he knew that in Baroda they will make a fanfare about it. So he is the real sadhak, the soul.